Hi YouTube. I want to know if black people have forgiven Roseanne Barr. Um, there's two type of black people. The ones from the 80s that love Roseanne, love the TV show, that thought that she was groundbreaking along with the rest of the world. She had high ratings. She kicked Cosby out the #1 spot during the 80s and late 80s and part of the 90s. And she's made inflammatory jokes. She was very shocking. She did things like the national anthem, singing it horribly. She did things that were always garnering a lot of media attention outside the show. But her show was groundbreaking. She had a lot of subject matter, a lot of topics. Then we have the new kind of black person, which is younger, usually I would say the millennial group. And what it is that they never really watched the show, or they saw it in passing via reruns. But they don't mess with her because of her political beliefs, who she chose to run with. We all know who she chose to run with. I'm coming from the old school, from the 80s, where when I was a kid, the show was on, and I just enjoyed the show just because it was funny. I always thought she was funny. But fast forward till now, I would say about a month and a half or 2 months ago, she made her statement on Twitter. Everybody knows what that is. She referenced Valerie Jarrett. She was an aide to President Obama, and she mentioned a part in her Twitter rant about Planet of the Apes, and everybody went crazy. ABC fired her from her show, and I don't think the story is ended yet. I mean, did that really affect black people? I want to know. You let me know in the comments. As for me, I heard about what happened at the time. I wanted to watch it that night. I found out in the morning that the show was canceled. I had a ton of black people tell me that, oh well, she's a Republican, or she votes for Trump and everything. They told me all of that, but I was mad because I love the new reboot of Roseanne. I love the direction she was going. She was always pushing boundaries. I don't think that she's a racist. I don't think she's a racist. I think that she's a comedian. I would hold her to a higher standard if she was a political contender, if she ran for office, if she was a congresswoman, a mayor, or if she ran for president of the United States. But I always looked at her as a comedian, and the things that she said, especially a joke that she already did. She kind of did this in 2013, and she said this joke in 2013, and it's poor taste. It's not funny. I mean, if you're a comedian, things has to be funny. I mean, in a certain way. But she tried out a joke that didn't work in 2013, and she modified it slightly in 2018. It wasn't funny then, and it's not funny now. But I've heard comedians say worse. What I felt as soon as I heard about her show got canceled, I was like, what? 28 million views, and they just canceled the show? And I was mad. I was hot. I was hot about it. They wanted to pull the reruns, and I was like, wait, that's a part of my history. And I wanted to give her a pass and say, she was, what was she thinking? She had mental illness. That's what I remember from the 80s and 90s, that she had a lot of mental issues and things that she was taking to help her through. But it's weird because I've heard comedians say worse. Lisa Lampanelli says a lot worse. She talks about everybody. But her opportunities haven't been, taken from her. Roseanne, I think that she is regretful for what she said. She understands the importance that it was very racially charged what she said, very inappropriate. She says things like she was tweeting and she was taking Ambien, she didn't know what she was doing, or she didn't know that Valerie Jarrett was black. It's weird because I feel a different thing. I feel like it's sort of a self-hatred thing or some kind of self-sabotage, because I don't know if anybody ever put a side by side of Roseanne next to Valerie Jarrett. I did. I'm gonna put up the picture, and the first thing I thought was when I saw Valerie Jarrett, which I've never heard of her, I didn't know anything about her. I said she kind of favors Roseanne. I mean, if you look at the picture, you tell me, am I crazy? But I always thought they looked alike. Once I found out who she was and knowing how Roseanne is, I was like, Roseanne's talking about this woman, and they're kind of like sisters. They kind of look similar. That's kind of, controversial what I just said right there, because not because of what Roseanne said, because it's not true. She's definitely not anything a Planet of the Apes. She's a black queen. She had a high position. Valerie Jarrett is somebody that has a lot of accomplishment, and finding out that she's a classy woman. She carries herself well, so she would never be a Planet of the Apes. But in the world of controversy and comedy, comedians are able to say a lot of shit and get away with it up until now. I felt like the censorship issue is out there. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe Roseanne is a racist. I believe that she is able to use privilege to say a lot of things and to see what works and what doesn't work. She had the leeway. Her whole career has taught her that she could say the most shocking things and still have a career up until now, and I think it's a big lesson to learn. I just found out she really didn't take any money for allowing ABC to move on with the new show called The Counters, starring the old cast members from the original Roseanne show. These are characters that Roseanne created. She cultivated, and it came to our basically it came through our televisions, a creation of Roseanne. But that's an honorable thing to do. Because really at the end of the day, hundreds of people lost their jobs. People that she worked with for 30 years, they don't have employment. And it's something to think about. If I was in a position where you still had to come to me after I said something controversial, you still had to come to me and ask me, was it okay to allow a show to go on without me? That's hard to deal with in itself. Roseanne's friend, Rabbi Shmuley, she went on his podcast and she was crying. And this is about 2 days after, because he just released the tapes last week. But 2 days after all the controversy hit, Roseanne's been fired, She was just crying, and she said she didn't mean it. And, I really felt her, because I felt like she is not at heart a racist, only because watching her show, if you look at the social commentary, the topics she had to actually tackle, she chose those topics to tackle. A racist would not have an episode where DJ, her son character, and this is the 80s version, he didn't want to kiss a black girl, and she telling him like, nobody's better than anybody, nobody is more important than anybody. And she even called herself white trash. But as a part of the joke, it made sense to what she was talking about. And then fast forward to the new version, DJ is now married to a black woman who fights overseas, and then has a black daughter. So now she has a black granddaughter on the show. She has with that parallel, she didn't have to choose that route to go. These are things that she decided to do, being, in charge of the show, or having a good grip on the ideas that she wanted to tackle. She tackled all kinds of issues. This is on the show. So I don't believe she's racist, because she always chose things to help people. One of my favorite episodes in the new Roseanne was the Muslim episode, all the white fears of Muslim neighbors, having Muslims next door, and finding out they're regular people just like everybody else. And she ended up standing up for her at the end of the episode when some kind of store clerk was insulting her because of her Muslim, her background and her religious beliefs. And Roseanne stood up for her. And these are images that she's choosing to show the world, and she doesn't have to. She could just make her money, have a standard comedy show, have some standard laughs, but she chooses to put things that we grapple with on a daily basis. She just happens to not vote like I would vote. I voted for Obama. I voted for, I voted for Hillary, and it just didn't work out like that. It never works out like that, who you vote for. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but at the end of the day, has Roseanne been forgiven by black people? Do black people still mess with her? I think a lot of black people are kind of neutral after it's kind of died down, but you'll let me know through the comments. I don't know, how many people still ride with Roseanne. I think that she has opportunities. I was hearing things about her getting another show. She has some things to still do. I mean, she still has to apologize. She has not gone on a apologetic tour, a I'm sorry tour. But I believe that something with Sarah Gilbert and Michael Fishman, which was her kids on the show, I understand everything went down, and I understand they had to be politically correct. But I do believe after a 28-year relationship that Roseanne is like their second mother. Don't mind the shots in the air. It's fireworks. It's not gunshots. All right. So, as far as what they should have done, I mean, they can make their statement as deplorable as what Roseanne said was. It's a very serious thing, but behind closed doors, I believe that she's like their second mother. She basically raised them through the business of show business. And your mother says crazy things all the time. Everybody's mother says something crazy, but you still love them. You still love your mother. You still would do anything for your mother. You don't just because you said this on Twitter. Now, my whole 30-year history with you is no more. It's not needed. Even though she helped you get to where you got to go, Sarah Gilbert or Michael Fishman, play DJ. I really believe that there's room for forgiveness. We don't do that a lot. We are quick to jump when somebody says something and everybody looks at them. But what about denouncing the act of what people have done and really look at them as human and see that they can change? So even if she is racist, she can change. But I just don't believe she's racist. I believe that she was a comedian that said a dumb ass joke that didn't work before and it doesn't work now. She put the wrong mix of people in it. Then she had the wrong about her excuses. Right back behind it. Then she had I'm sorry after all of that. I believe that she should have just ended with I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's all she should say. 100 times, 1,000 times, because that's what people want. People want people to be apologetic for things. People want her to say she's sorry before it might be a forgiveness thing, or I'm forgiving her because her topics in her show are not racist. They're against racism. And if you ever looked at her show, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think that she needs to do more to get in the good graces of people. But she got plenty of money. She's older. She's 65. It's not like she got a hunger and thirst to try to make it. She's already done that. She's a famous. She's famous beyond belief. But there's still room for her to grow when she's in her room at night thinking about her whole career. She certainly didn't want hundreds of people to be fired from a show. You know, her best friends on the show were black. You know, and it's a part of America that is not shown in that view. I believe that you could be a Republican and still have a heart. I believe you could be a Democrat and still have a heart. I mean, we're human. We're not a blue or red, you know. So it becomes where can we forgive? If that was us, if I say something out of line, we all say stuff out of line, but we not caught on our shit. We don't have the media attention. What makes Roseanne different from Lisa Lampanelli is Roseanne was just bigger. Roseanne had a spotlight on her show, and ABC fired her, but how admirable was ABC to hire her again? If you know that she, you know, posed as Hitler in a magazine in 2009, but Roseanne wanted to really fight against it by doing that. You know, that's controversial too. Her statements about, you know, another black woman, her statements of not or saying that she didn't know Valerie Jarrett was black. We're all types of shades, you know. You should know by now, you know. So my advice to Roseanne is to just say I'm sorry, and whatever happens happens. She's already given her show away. She didn't have to. She could have made him suffer, but at the heart of Roseanne is that she feels bad about all of those people of all colors being fired from her show. That's what she feels. She feels that. And I believe her. I believe she feels that. But I don't know if black people or if anybody in anybody else, any other race, is so easily willing to forgive her. You let me know in the comments. Again, my name is Darrell Harper. You can catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can look under scareofthelight.com. I wrote a book called Scare the Light, The Dream Memoirs of Russell Banks. It's a fiction fantasy novel, and I definitely really understand the platform of free speech. I want to be able to talk freely, you know. My views, I'm kind of open with my views, but, you know, I'm open to learning things from the viewers, from the subscribers. Subscribe to my channel so we can have a continued conversation. I didn't want to do this video a long time ago because I got heat for even liking Roseanne. I like the show, but I'm not with the bullshit on Twitter. I'm not with that. You know, I'm really not. And there's a difference when you grow up with a show that you enjoy. But I feel like I learned a lot, and so as a lot of Americans have learned a lot from watching Roseanne, because other shows was not putting it out there. They weren't putting the social ills of the world out there through this middle American family, you know, and that's something to pay attention to. I would love for them, if not anything else, is to bring the reruns back. It won't erase what Roseanne's done, but she had enrichment on her show with the views and the issues that she tackled, and she tackled them boldly. She stood up for people, she defended people, and this is a show she conceived. So these ideas are naturally hers. I believe she has a wit and she has a talent to provoke just as much as it's her curse to provoke. So as much as she brought out a lot of good through her show, it shouldn't be erased because she said a couple of bad things that were out of line and way the opposite. She lost her show. She lost her prestige. Well, I don't know if she had prestige. She had she had a voice that was easily accessible. She could use at any given moment. But it just caught up with her. She's done so much stuff, and now she is paying for it, but it's not over yet. I believe that she still has more to say, and it's more that she can do. This is going to turn into something good. Her giving the people their jobs by not holding back the show is allowing them to work and continue to work even without her being a part of it. That says a lot. She, everybody thought she got millions of dollars, but she didn't get anything for it. She let it go. That's amazing. At least she could have got maybe $80 million just to give the rights of the show over. But she felt so bad that she didn't even want to take anything. So you think about that. Would you be able to do that? No, I wouldn't. I'd be like, look, my career is dead. Y'all gonna have to try to help resurrect it, and then I'll give you the show. I'll think about giving you the show. But she actually gave it away as kind of like a self-inflicted punishment. She like took the knife and said, oh, I messed up, and now I want to give something back. That's good for Sarah Gilbert and John Goodman, and it's good for all of them. Lori Metcalf. It's good for all of them because they're able to work. They're able to have a view of the show in a way without Roseanne, but I just still don't know how it's going to work without Roseanne. She was the heart of the show. You let me know again. Comment, subscribe to my channel, and I appreciate you for your time. I'm a little disoriented. These fireworks is just popping, boom, 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 like I'm in a war, but it'll be over after maybe 2 in the morning. So you let me know, hit me up. Thank you for hit me up, watching. Peace.